Tonight in Melbourne, a young American star just took another giant leap in a Grand Slam chase that has the tennis world buzzing. Under the lights at Rod Laver Arena, Coco Gauff delivered one of her most gritty, gutsy wins in recent memory, a three-set test that showcased strength, heart, and relentless will. Every point was a battle, every set a momentum swing, every rally told a story about confidence and composure. Her opponent, a seasoned threat with the power and variety to wreck any top seed's rhythm. Yet tonight, Gauff stood tall. She remains perfect against Karolína Muchová, unbeaten every time they've met, and just punched her ticket to the Australian Open quarterfinals. But this wasn't an easy night. It was a defining one. Tonight, we break down how she did it, what it means for her Grand Slam run, and why American fans have every reason to be excited. Before we jump into the full breakdown, hit that like button, drop your reaction in the comments, and subscribe to American Sports Bulletin for more top-tier tennis coverage, player analysis, and all the latest from the biggest events around the world. We've got matching updates and insights you won't want to miss. In a match that had the feel of a classic Grand Slam showdown, it was Coco Gauff who ultimately squared her shoulders, gritted her teeth, and found her shots at all the right times to triumph in 3 sets over Karolína Muchová, advancing to the Australian Open quarterfinals, in a match that only grew in drama as it went on. The crowd in Melbourne watched an early flurry of power from Muchová, whose aggressive baseline play and deft variety have troubled many of the tour's most consistent hitters. But on this night, Coco's athleticism, court coverage, and mental edge were just a step ahead, especially when it mattered most. This match was never going to be a walk in the park. Muchová thrives in conditions where she can mix pace and direction, forcing opponents to constantly reset their rhythm. In the early stages, Muchova's tactical variety looked like it could pay dividends, earning her early looks and shifting momentum every time she held serve. Though Gauff hung in there were moments in the first set where it looked like a player with as many weapons as Muchová might grab control. But true champions find ways to stay in sets even before they hit their gear, and Gauff did exactly that. She neutralized Muchova's early impact with steady depth, disciplined footwork, and a serve that began to take shape as the match progressed. Gauff's consistency from the back of the court put pressure on Muchová to hit higher-risk shots, and that slowly swung the psychological edge back in Gauff's favor. In the second set, Gauff's patience paid off. She began to take advantage of even split-second openings, pushing deep returns and dictating a higher percentage of the rallies. A few key breakpoints converted at the right time, and that was all she needed to swing the set, and ultimately the match. It was a display of tactical maturity, the kind of performance that makes you realize this young American isn't merely a contender, she's a threat at every stage of a slam. One of the defining features of Gauff's game throughout this tournament, and again tonight, has been her serve. While it hasn't been the fastest on tour, it's become increasingly effective at setting her up for the next shot, short, deep, and well-placed. That kind of point construction is vital against a player like Muchová, who thrives on rhythm and loves to step into short balls. Just as importantly, Gauff's ground strokes, especially her forehand, are beginning to show a consistency that can stand up under pressure. Tonight, those balls found corners at key moments, and when she needed to hit heavy or drop short, she did it without hesitation. That kind of adaptability is what separates semi-final hopefuls from the rest of the draw. But let's be clear, this win wasn't just technical, it was mental. Gauff grew into this match the way champions do. She absorbed the early pressure, she cleaned up her errors when it mattered, and she turned slivers of opportunity into decisive points. In a Grand Slam environment, that's half the battle. What makes tonight even more compelling is that Gauff's perfect record against Muchova now stands without a blemish. Each time they've met, Gauff has found a way, and that psychological edge cannot be overstated. When two players of this caliber square off, confidence is currency, and tonight Gauff had more of it. The crowd in Melbourne also played a subtle role. They were electric without being overwhelming, drawn into every long rally and reacting as if each point might be the match decider. In that charged atmosphere, Gauff was noticeably composed, a sign of mental fortitude that has become one of her trademarks on the biggest stages. For Muchova, this was still a match that justified why she's respected on tour. Her variety, her drop shots, and her ability to change speeds kept Gauff honest throughout the match. But in the end, it was Gauff's depth, her decisiveness under pressure, and her growing experience in these moments that made the difference. And now, with a quarterfinal berth secured, the stakes only higher. The Australian Open is one of the hardest slams to win. Long matches in variable conditions, massive crowds, and world-class opponents around every corner. Yet Gauff has already shown this week that she can handle the heat, the pressure, and the ups and downs that define major championship tennis. This performance also raises the question of how deep she can go. Quarterfinals, semifinals, maybe beyond? With every match she plays in Melbourne, she's proving to the world and proving to herself that she belongs in the conversation with the very best. So let us know in the comments below, do you think Coco Gauff can win the Australian Open? Who's on your prediction list for the final? Smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe to American Sports Bulletin for full Grand Slam coverage, analysis, and top tennis news throughout the season. Stay tuned, the chase continues in Melbourne.